created a garden, like a raised garden bed, and you just let it set, and then plants started growing without you planting them, that's primary succession. So it's where no ecosystem has ever existed before. Secondary succession occurs when there's been some type of disturbance, like a flood, like I was looking at those flood pictures, drought, forest fires, things like that, and then the ecosystem regrows. Okay, that's secondary succession. All right.
Can we have time to study, like right now?
Yes. I mean, I'm asking you. Do you need me to go over anything that you just need reviewing of? Yes, ma'am.
Is the crash course, is that on Blackboard?
I don't think I posted on Blackboard, but you look up crash course or just look up YouTube or ecological succession and you'll find it.
YouTube.
Okay, yes.
Will we have to know
like
all the types of tropism?
There are 2 or 3 questions, if I remember correctly, on tropism. And you don't need to necessarily know the type. Well, photo is light.
Bless you.
Figmo is touch. And geo, or what's the other word? Gravity is gravity. Okay? But what you do need to know is that if it's exhibiting negative phototropism, that means it's growing away from the light. If it's exhibiting positive phototropism, it's going toward the light. Does that make sense? Okay. And same thing with touch or whatever. So if it's negative, it's away. Positive is toward. Okay?
Can you go over monocot and dicot?
Okay. Monocot, there's 2 different types of growing plants. There's monocots and dicots. Monocots are your grassy plants. They have fibrous root system, which means they have more than one root. They have one cotyledon, and then the embryo, like a corn, has one cotyledon. And what else? Their flower arrangements is in what?
3 and 4.
3,
2, 4.
3s and 5s. Isn't it 3s and 5s?
Yeah, 3s and 5s. I thought it was
4. I can't remember. I have to look it up.
No, it's 2, 4 for monocot and 3, 5 for dicot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And and they have monocots have parallel veins. Okay, like those veins in their leaves are parallel, straight up and down. Okay. All right. Dicots are like beams. Are dicots? Most of your plants that you think of, like roses and trees and things like that, are dicots.
Trees are plants?
Oh my God.
I'm there.
What?
What?
How are you?
He asked that question.
I didn't ask it.
Yeah, you did. I heard you, Big.
Wow, I'm not sure.
How are you?
Dicots have, the leaves have branched veins or netted veins. So there's usually one central vein, or maybe it comes out like in palmate, like in 5, and the veins branch off from that. They have a taproot, which means they have a central root and then root hairs that grow off of that. And they have 2 cotyledons. Okay? 2 cotyledons, which means they have 2 seeds. You know, they open up in the middle, and they have 2, and the embryo is on the side, in the middle. Okay? All right. What are cotyledons? They're the storage structure that stores starch and water for the seed, for the embryo. And when conditions are right, then the embryo sprouts, and it forms the top part of the embryo forms the shoot, and the bottom forms the root. And the shoot has the 2 seed leaves, and then the bottom is the root. But the cotyledons feed the embryo until what takes place? Photosynthesis. And as you'll notice, when you grew your bean seeds, they weren't green. So they have to be green. They have to have chlorophyll for photosynthesis to take place. Right? Okay? So the shoot and all was white, but they were getting its nutrients from the cotyledon. Yes, ma'am?
About the symbiosis, commune,
Okay, symbiosis is the relationship between 2 organisms. So types of symbiosis would be commensalism, mutualism, and parasitism.
Doesn't commensalism is like where one species benefits from?
Well, in commensalism, one species benefits, but the other species doesn't gain or lose anything. And yeah, like communes, they just live off each other. Parasitism, one species gains or feeds off one, and the other one is harmed, like fleas on a dog or ticks on a dog or something like that. And then mutualism means that both of them are deriving benefit. They both benefit from the interaction. Okay? Yes.
Turbo pressure, how it helps plants.
Okay. Turgor pressure is the water pressure inside of the xylem that's coming up from the roots, and it's what gives plants structure, shape and structure. So plants have water, it's under pressure, which is the turgor pressure, and it's what makes the leaves stand up and the stem stand up. When a plant wilts, it's because it's lost turgor pressure. It means it doesn't have enough water. And the reason that water rises in a plant and to create that pressure is because the plant is losing water vapor through its pores, which are the stomata, and it's losing water vapor, it's evaporating from the leaves, and that's called evapotranspiration. Okay? And if you'll remember, that word transpiration is part of the water cycle. So that's the way plants put water back into the environment. So if you're drawing water out of the plant, then water is being pushed up because of turgor pressure up through the plant. Okay? Just like you suck on a straw, you're sucking the water up. Well, the evapotranspiration is sucking the water up the xylem, and that's why the water rises in the stem. Okay? Yes?
What is mutations?
I don't think there's any questions on the test about mutations, but mutations is when there's been a change in the gene code. So the genes are made up of proteins and stuff, and it's where they change places, and it causes a mutation. And albinism is a mutation, like where you don't have any skin color, eye color, and things like that. Bacteria go through thousands of mutations at a time, and they become antibiotic resistant because they mutate. So remember, the ones that mutate and survive pass on that mutation to the next generation. And so if they mutate and they're antibiotic resistant, then they live to pass on that to the next generation and so forth, and that's how we get resistance to drug therapy and so forth. Yeah.
That's like with GMOs, how it like affects some bacteria and then someone could become like resistant to certain medicines.
Yes, exactly. Haley? Oh, you had your hand up. I thought.
They'll like, I have two. Continental drift and new species formation, and the geographical divide, isolation, and effect on population.
All those things go together. So when one population is separated from another population, like the one that your book gave in the reading was marsupials, which are pouched animals. There's many species of marsupials in Australia and South America, but very few in North America. I think there's only one rat or rodent type species that's a marsupial in North America. And the reason is that when continental drift occurred over thousands and millions of years, those populations were separated. North America moved north, the climate was different, and they couldn't survive, or they died out. Okay? So that's a good example. So when populations are separated from each other, they tend to develop into different species because the environment's different. And that separation could be like the Grand Canyon. There are species of rodents on each side of the Grand Canyon that are different, and they've evolved differently just because their populations were separated. And so they have a little bit different characteristics, and they've been classified as different species. Also, it happens with island formation, like in the Galapagos Islands, and the finches that came from the mainland, and it talks about that in the book. They're separated, they have different plant species on those islands, so the ones that are more adapted to eating the plants that were there, or, like nuts, seeds, and so forth, are the ones that passed on their traits, and then that trait became more and more predominant, and then we have different species of finches. And that's what that's about.